Last night at the Democratic National Convention, another soaring speech with really nothing new in it except things that I've never heard the president say before. Things like, we're all endowed by our creator and it's divine providence. Suddenly he's become Thomas Jefferson and George Washington, but that's not the president he claimed to be last night. He claimed to be Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Which has he claimed to be him before? The only one he hasn't claimed to be now, I believe, is Woodrow Wilson, who this man really, truly is. Listen to a bit of the speech last night.
If you believe in a country where everyone gets a fair shot and everyone does their fair share and everyone plays by the same rules, then I need you to vote this November.
Okay, hold on just a second. Mr. President, that's exactly the country that I believe in. And I'm not voting for you because you aren't delivering that. This is the hope and change. What he keeps talking about is we're going to hire more teachers and we're going to hire more, labor unions. We're going to do all these great things. We're going to fix our bridges, which I thought that's what we spent that $1 trillion on. He keeps talking about these things. That's not the change that people wanted. This is the rhetoric, and he's again going for the stupid people. This is the rhetoric that people do want to hear. They just want to hear it from somebody who actually means it. Play that again, and let's take it step by step.
If you believe in a country where everyone gets a fair shot.
Stop. Barack Hussein Obama. I do believe in a country that where everybody gets a fair shot. I do. And I believe Barack Hussein Obama is a prime example of everybody getting a fair shot. That's like hiring somebody named Hirohito to be our president in World War II. You got the fair shot, man. If you can make it, a guy who never went to a 4th of July picnic or parade when he was a kid, a guy who lived in Indonesia growing up and then was raised by communists, and he changed his name from Barry to Barack Hussein Obama. If that's what you got, man, I'd say we've got a country that is very tolerant and will give anyone a fair shot. Now, there's the first one. So do you believe in that country? I do. This president doesn't think it exists. He is living proof that it does, but I believe in that country. Can we get better on it? I don't know. I suppose so, but Barack Hussein Obama tells me that we're in pretty good shape on that one. Now, here's the second part.
And everyone does their fair share.
Stop. Okay, I'd love to hear that one. Wouldn't you love everybody to do their fair share? I'd love everybody to do their fair share.
That's not what he means, though. He means only the rich, only the wealthy. He's not talking about the poor people or the 50% of Americans who pay nothing.
Nothing.
He's not talking about asking them to do their fair share.
And you know what? I have no problem. We do have to be a compassionate country, and we are a compassionate country. We give more than any country in the history of all human life. No country has ever been this generous. No country has ever been this compassionate. That's who we are. Do your fair share. Okay, if you're poor, if you're unemployed, if you need food, we'll be there. But we're going to ask you to do your fair share. We're going to ask you to take jobs that maybe you don't want to take, but you have some dignity in your life and you take any job. We're going to ask you to do that. Can we ask people to do anything in exchange for the food stamps that they're getting? Anything? No, you can't. You're not being compassionate. I'm sorry. I happen to believe Ben Franklin was right. Ben Franklin said the best way to get people out of poverty is to make them uncomfortable in that poverty. How about if we make these things alone? How about would it change people's perception if you actually had to pay it back or a portion of it back? Look, you're hungry? Not a problem. We'll take care of you. We're going to take care of you for the first X number of months. But after that, we're going to have to put this on and you're going to have to pay this back. Would that be motivation to get a job? Would that be a motivation to take less? Would that be a motivation to lift yourself up? Yeah, damn right it would. But you can't even ask that. You can't ask 50% of this country to carry any burden whatsoever. So let's see, Mr. President. Let's see if we have this right. You want a country where everybody gets a fair shot. I think we have that. and everybody pulls their fair share. I'd like that one too, Mr. President, but I don't think you're moving us in that direction.
And everyone plays by the same rules.
Oh, dear God Almighty, help me out. Please, Lord, please help me before I have an aneurysm or 7. Everybody plays by the same rules? Boy, would I like that, Mr. President. Would I like Ben Bernanke, when he testifies under oath in front of Congress, we will not monetize our own debt. We will not do that. I'd sure like to see that man behind bars for lying to Congress, or at least be asked by Congress, excuse me, you're pumping more. Today, the job numbers just came out. The Fed is saying now, already, looks like they're going to start pumping into the system again. They're buying our own debt. They're monetizing our debt. They're devaluing everything you have in the bank. But nope, the Fed doesn't play by the same rules. We can't even audit them. How about the guy you have running the Treasury? He falsified his tax documents. What do you say he plays by the same rules? How about the banks? Can the banks fail? Because I know in my business, it's me. I'm the one funding this. I'm the one doing it. Good. I accept that. And if I fail, I accept that. I'm not going to get a bailout. Are you going to get a bailout in your business? You run a gas station. You run a decent-sized corporation. You're a real estate agent. You're a door-to-door salesman. Anybody coming to bail you out and saying that you're too small to fail? Boy, I would love everybody to play by the same rules. How about we let the labor unions play by the same rules? I can't force anybody to do anything. They can force me to be in their union? Excuse me? You can force Boeing? You can actually say to a company, I'm sorry, you can't do this unless you unionize. Excuse me? Boy, I'd love everybody to play by the same rules. I'd love everybody to actually try to stick to that rule book called the Constitution.
Then I need you to vote this November.
And here it is, Mr. President. You need us to vote. If you believe in that America, he needs you to vote in November. Mr. President, I do believe in that America, and I am going to vote in November.
I don't think that's going to work out the way he's planning on it.
I don't think so.
Sure hope not. From the same guy who in the same speech will extol the virtues of the bailout for GM. Then he wants to come back and say later on that he wants everybody to play by the same rules. That is unbelievable.
No, not just the bailout of GM, the illegal bailout and the leapfrogging of the bondholders. You want to talk about play by the same rules? Okay, well, everybody, if you're going bankrupt, then you should go through bankruptcy proceedings. But they didn't even just do that. They didn't just leapfrog that. They said to the bondholders, the unions get their money first. That's illegal. That's illegal. How about we play by this rule? How about we have things accurately reported? How about if we're against people dying in Afghanistan, when it's a Republican, we report those numbers. When it's a Democrat, we report those numbers. Wouldn't that be nice?
That's a huge example, because how often did we hear those numbers when Bush was in office?
Wouldn't you love
all
to
the
have
time?
Conservatives, wouldn't you love to live in America where everybody plays by the same rules? Where you could do and say the same things? Let's use this one for example. Let's ask Rush Limbaugh if everybody's playing by the same rules. Sandra Fluck, remember the worst thing that ever happened to all of womankind was Sandra Fluck was called a slut. That's the worst thing that ever happened. Oh, mothers are impaling themselves on picket fences all over the country because it was so horrible. And yet the Democrats are selling buttons that say sluts vote. And women are buying them. If that's the worst slam on women ever, shouldn't you be ashamed of yourself for selling it? And why would you ever buy a button and put it on you, ma'am? Why would you do it? Because we're not living in a country where everybody plays by the same rules. Wouldn't you love to live in a country where the people who say the most incredible racist things, Joe Biden comes to mind, is actually held to the same standard that people who are on the other side of the aisle are held to? My gosh, Joe Biden would be in PC jail if that were the case. Bill Clinton would be in PC jail if that were the case. Hillary Clinton would be in PC jail. Not that their careers would be wrecked, but the things that they have said would put them in a PC jail. I've never heard conservatives say the same things that Hillary Clinton has said about convenience stores. What Joe Biden has said about, he's a clean white dude. What Bill Clinton has said. I've never seen any conservative even get close to that line. Have you? And you are driven out of all of society for saying those things. Mr. President, I'm going to vote, and millions of Americans are going to vote. We're going to line up early. We're going to stay late. We're going to drive our neighbors to the polls. We're going to do everything we can because, oh, do I believe in an America where everybody has to play by the same rules. I believe in America that everybody pays their fair share. I believe in America. An America that you, sir, are the shining example of, that anyone can make it, everybody gets a fair shot. So, Mr. President, you don't have to ask me to go out and vote. Count on my vote being cast in November.